Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alexey, and today I have a special guest, Scott Elliott. Scott is a metal sound engineer who is mixing extreme metal and black metal music. Scott has wonderful mixing metal tutorials on his YouTube channel, which is called Chernobyl Audio, and also he has wonderful and very knowledgeable mixing metal courses on Spectre Academy. It's a huge honor to have you on my YouTube channel again, Scott. And let's start our interview. Can you please tell me about your new death metal course and how it is different from your previous mix and extreme metal music course?
Hey man, so good question. I've been getting that question a lot actually. So the mixing death metal course is the brand new one that I've just done, right? And it's much more focused towards the technical aspect side. Also, extreme down tuning guitars with blast beats. So there's no symphonic elements, there's no orchestral elements, anything like this, which was the case with the Mixing Extreme Metal song. So the Mixing Extreme Metal song also is almost 3 years old by now, which is crazy, and even to think of that. But the Mixing Extreme Metal song had the name of that came because there was so many elements of the song that was extreme. There's a lot of blast beats in the song. There was a gravity blast in the song. There's 30 layers of choral vocals, solos. So that was Mixing Extreme Metal. Mixing Death Metal was a Polish band here in Poland, redundant, that's down-tuned guitars, very dissonant, and a lot of more of that dark Polish atmosphere. Definitely death metal in nature, pretty cut and dry. So that's the main difference. The other main difference is Mixing Death Metal has all of my newest, most up-to-date mixing techniques, whereas Mixing Extreme Metal, that was 3 years ago. I've learned a lot since then. And Mixing Death Metal, I recorded the drums right here in Hertz Studio, or I'm recording this video with you right now.
So my next question is, how long should you mix to become good at mixing?
So, excellent question. And really, I could give you two answers, right? I could give you well, I mean, it really depends on the person, blah, blah, blah. Or I could give you the answer that actually would help, which would be, it depends on how much pain a person is willing to go through. So if a beginning mixer really wants to do it, and they're willing to put their ego aside, they will start making good mixes in a quarter of the time it took me or anybody else who I can do it myself, okay? But if this person has the I can do it myself and I don't want any help, then you're definitely looking at years and years and years. And those amounts of years can differ pretty much based on the talent or the ability of the person to learn, how fast they can learn, how much they practice. But truthfully, honestly, there's really no need to spend years and years and years, rubbing your face against concrete when, Alexey, you yourself, you are in things like Nail the Mix. You purchased my courses before. So you still have to do the practice, you still have to do the work, and it still will take a couple of years, but it's not going to take 20 years, where you're by yourself because I know everything and I'm better than you. So it really is up to the person how much pain they want to endure. There's still going to be pain because it's still going to suck in the beginning. But at least in the beginning, you can suck knowing that you're on the right path and you're doing the right things. Or in the beginning, it can be painful, it can suck, and you can have no idea what you're doing. So it's up to you. Either way, I think probably 3 to 5 years will be the amount of time where you'll be able to start identify your own problems and you'll be able to identify where you need to improve. In the beginning, without a shadow of a doubt, the best case scenario would to be have a mixed mentor or somebody who can help you, point you in the right direction.
So my next question is, do you go through mixing courses yourself or some mixing exercises to keep your mixing skills in shape?
It's like, I don't know if you play Quake anymore. It's still popular out there in Eastern Europe and Russia and stuff. But if you go a couple days without playing Quake and then you go play again, you can feel like, oh boy, the game feels really fast, something, but if you play consistently every single day in the game is normal. It's not too fast. You can think, you can interact with the game, but you take a couple days off and then it's like, oh shit, I got to get used to this again. So when you're writing, recording, and mixing music, the more that you do it consistently, you get better at it and faster at it, but you also start making a groove. You do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And sometimes it does make sense to look at resources from somebody else who does the same thing that you do, but different. So, for example, Cola, or for example, now the guys here at Hertz. I've asked them a bunch of questions already, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? It's totally different from how I've done it, but watching them do it, I can go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I see. And then from that point, I can decide if that's something I want to put into my workflow, or it's like, okay, that's cool, but I'm going to keep doing it the way that I do it. So I do think it's very important to check out what other people are doing, not to just like learn the basics, though. For example, I think it's cool to see other techniques of how people get their results in different ways, i.e., if it's better optimized or quicker with less plugins. That's kind of what I'm always trying to find out. Like, is there an easier way to do this? Is there a faster way? Which is why I really, really liked Cola's Nail the Mix, for example. It was just like, there's one plugin on the overheads. That's all you need. And it's like, okay. Because you're on the internet, on YouTube, and you see dudes with like 7, 8 plugins on every single track, and you're like, really? Is that necessary? So it's cool to see the workflow of other professionals and engineers. So absolutely yes. Like I still buy courses. I still check them out. But I'm not really like, how does he do the low end? I'm usually, okay, what's his thought process like? What is his workflow? What is he listening for? Because you can always learn a tidbit from everybody. Someone might be like, look, this is really important. You want to listen to how the vocals and the snare are. So yeah, basically yes. Long answer, yes.
So my next question is how to use reference tracks to create good mixes.
This is a really good question. And in fact, one of my extra videos that I created in mixing death metal, there's the main curriculum, English. There's the main curriculum, and then there's extra videos that I've done. One of them being how to create a mixed vision, which deals with specifically reference tracks. So many people kind of get the wrong idea that reference tracks, you need to copy the reference track. This is how it is, and you got to copy it. Incorrect. When a band or a person gives you a reference track, it's up to you to ask lots of questions. You go, okay, here's the reference track. Alrighty then. Why do you like this song? And they give you an answer. And you go, okay. So if they go, I don't know, man, it just sounds cool. Well, you need to, okay, what sounds cool? Do the guitars sound cool? Do you like the way the vocals sound? Do you like the kick drum? Do you like the snare drum? Do you like the balance between the kick and the snare? Do you like the balance between the guitars and the bass? What about this song do you like? So you have to ask the person, They just go, yeah, we want to sound like, I don't know, Judas Priest. Okay, 70s Judas Priest, 80s Judas Priest, 90s Judas Priest, 2000s. What do you want to sound like, right? So it's up to you to ask a lot of questions of the person that you're mixing, and always about balance. You always want to understand the musical vision and the direction that the person is trying to go in. If they go, yeah, listen, I really like Lucifer and Cessus by Belphegor, but I want it to sound modern. What the fuck does that mean? Because what do you want? What does modern mean now? Like, no, you got to be all like philosophical. Basically, the reference track is you want to understand exactly what the vision of the band or the project is, insofar as what's the overall balance of the song. Is it a kick heavy? Is it a kick forward mix, or is it a bass guitar forward mix? Is the bass guitar clanky? Is it smooth? Where are the vocals sitting in relationship to the guitars? How loud are the guitars compared to the snare, etc., etc. So you're generally looking at how the balance of the song sounds, and that's going to be what the low end is doing, i.e. kick and bass guitar, comparison to the high end, and how that all is working together, okay? It's pretty much, you're trying to get the basic idea of the balance, and that's how you want to use a reference track. But you have to ask a lot of questions, of the person you're mixing, because this happened too many times where I assume I understand what they want, because they told me like, oh yeah, man, we want the song to sound like The Satanist by Behemoth. And I'm going, all right, okay. And then I sing a mix and they go, oh, there's too many mids here. I'm like, well, this is the fucking sound that you gave me. It's like, it's a mid-heavy mix. No. We want so ask the questions first, get the reference track, and then you can't copy the reference track. That's not what your goal is. Your goal is to sort of get the balance points in the same ballpark of the reference track. So yeah, and then it'll be what it is because your ears are different, and it'll be your result. Don't try to make your mix sound like Joey Sturgis or something because you won't.
So my next question is how to create a good balance in the mix.
Lots of practice. Lots of practice. And this is a difficult question because really it's subjective. Now, I will die on that hill where there are objective things about mixing that you have to do. Like there has to be good lowing. There has to be certain things that you do in a mix for it to be considered good. That's just the way it is. Now you can go avant-garde and do all these other things and be like, but I mean, then that's fine if you don't care about you having your project reaching any commercial success or being popular whatsoever. So if that's your goal, there you go. You do you. All good. But if you want good balance in a mix, then what you have to do is you have to listen to good mixes all the time. Preferably in your mixing environment or with the tools in which you are using to mix. So if you have Slate VSX headphones, you should be listening to really good mixes in your Slate VSX headphones. And then you should be asking the questions that you would want to ask the band. Why do I like this mix? What's the mix balance like? What's the kick and the bass doing? What's the high end sound? What does this sound like? Why is this a good balance? And you get a pen and paper and you write it down and you study. And then you try to emulate it in your own way. All right. And that's how you create a good balance of a mix. Now, obviously, if you're mixing black metal and death metal, the idea of balance shifts and changes because the instruments need to sit in different places. That's what I mean about, balance is subjective. You can mix a death metal song like it's black metal, but if you send to someone who's expecting a particular sound and they don't get it, well, what is that? This is what I mean about some things that are just simply objective that you need to do. If you're in a death metal band, you can experiment with other sounds, but there are just certain things that genre is expecting you to do, right? So it is what it is, right? But that's how you get a good balance on the mix. You just need to listen to really good mixes, preferably with your listening environment, and study them. Why is it a good balance? Why do I like it? How do the vocals sit? What's the relationship between snare and vocal? Kick and snare, kick and vocal, and just make notes and then try to emulate it. And then do it over and over and over again.
So my next question is, should you master your own mixes? Or should you work with a mastering engineer?
Boy, this is a really good question. Personally, I have my mastering chain that I put on, but I have worked with other mastering engineers, which just meant that I turned the limiter off. I still had things in my master chain that were adding color, like the Black Box, for example, is a great plugin to add color and shape the overall mix without really using EQ, for example. You would keep that on the master, for example, but also mastering, for the most part, works with mixing. If your mix is bad, the master will be bad. If your mix is really good, it doesn't take much of a master to make it even better, okay? If you have the money or you know someone that you can hire who's really good actually at mastering, 100%, take your mix to him, because what the mastering engineer will do is he'll obviously take your money, he'll master your song, but a really good mastering engineer will go, hey, by the way, Jimmy, your mix is the lowing is totally blowing out here. What I would do is, reduce the lowing of your mix, perhaps look at the kick drum, perhaps look at the bass drum, because you got a really big problem down here. So a good mastering engineer could also point you in the direction of mistakes that you may be making on the mix session that he has to fix. So if you can work together like that's invaluable, obviously. If you don't have anybody like that, generally, try to make the mastering chain as simple as possible. Do as much of the mixing as possible in the mix, and then branch out from there. Right now, my mastering chain generally is very simple. Some kind of tape emulator, maybe into the black box, into the API 2500, and then flatline, and then L2. It's just loudness pretty much. If I don't like something coming out of the master, I'm checking the mix. But shouldn't you? It really depends. Some people are really good at it. Some people's entire mix philosophy is that mix down mix philosophy, so they start with the master bus. It really depends. You need to experiment. You need to try. But definitely, if there is a mix engineer that you can have a relationship with and work with, who will give you tips on how to improve your mixes, then of course it makes sense to work with them for sure.
So my next question is why you changed your channel name to Chernobyl Audio?
Simple answer, because I'm working here in Hertz Recording Studios now. For if you may not know, I know Alex, I know that you know, but I mean for your audience or your viewers, Hertz Recording Studios in Białystok, Poland. These are the guys who are responsible for pretty much Behemoth, Decapitated, Hate, Our Penance, Vader. I mean, any internationally recognized metal Polish band goes through Hertz. So this band has a very good pedigree of music. And Sławek and Wojtek, the two brothers that started the studio, are amazing, very knowledgeable, ridiculously professional. So I'm working here. It's called Hertz Recording Studios, and pretty much any work I do out of here will be from Hertz. So I'm Scott of Hertz Studios at this point professionally, and it didn't make sense to have then Chernobyl Studios on YouTube. It's like, the Hertz Studios, Chernobyl Studios. What's going on here? But with Chernobyl Audio, that could mean anything. That could be tutorials. It could be a music channel. It could be a store. It could be courses. It's not necessarily studio stuff, right? And it's a different word, so there's no real confusion there. So that's the basic reason why I went from Chernobyl Studios to Chernobyl Audio.
How you got into working at Hertz Studios?
So we met, well, it goes back a couple of years, almost, let's see, this would be a year, 2 years ago almost? So when they created Hertz Drums, they were reaching out to influencers on YouTube. And we started talking, and they're like, hey, we got these drums. We want you to check them out. And I was like, cool, send them over. I really liked the drums. In fact, I pretty much use their drums exclusively for all of my music and clients, by the way. Just saying that even before I came here, I really liked their product. And we just kept in contact. And then I was like, hey, guys, I'm going to move actually from Germany at the time. I'm going to move to Gdansk. Let's meet. It would be cool to hang out. Let's do something. And they're like, absolutely. And then had an acquaintance in Poland who I wanted to record for the Mixing Death Metal course. So all the way back in January of 2023, actually, we recorded the drums here. And we finally met and got to hang out. And it was a great deal of fun. And then I came back in the summertime, or just before the summertime, did another project with them. And then we were just like, hey, what's going on? We started talking about collaboration more than just doing videos and stuff. And one thing led to another. And then now here I am in Mixing Room B in Hertz Recording Studios. So it started off as just they were looking for people to help spread the word about their drums. It went into I booked them to do some work here, and then so on and so forth, until where we at right now. So it took about 2 years, but it was cool.
So my next question is, will you be making more mixing metal courses, or will Chernobyl Audio start making plugins?
Oh man, both would be awesome. So I already have a plugin idea. It's just about finding the right. I gotta find the product first. Like I have the idea, I know what I want to do, but I gotta, make the idea more realistic. You know what I mean? But definitely would want to do that. More courses, 100% for sure. For example, Guitar Tone Mastery. If you can believe this, Alex, that thing came out in 2019, 2018. That thing is ancient. In internet times. That needs to be updated drastically. So a lot of the information that I recorded originally just needs to be refreshed and updated and changed for more modern mixing techniques. Plus, I have grown as a mixer, and I want to make sure that I have the best information that I know that I can give people. So for sure, I'll keep doing the trainings. Absolutely, they're all on Spectre Academy, as you know, Alex. We just got to get that renamed to Chernobyl Audio. It's a long process because It's a company. It takes time. New graphics, blah, 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 all this stuff. So absolutely, definitely going to keep doing that. And yeah, it's going to be good. I have a lot of good plans.
What are your plans for the future about Hertz Studios and about Chernobyl Audio?
For Chernobyl Audio, actually, we're recording this video with you right now. About 5 minutes before we started recording, I made a video on my YouTube channel officially launching ChernobylAudio.com, which is the web store. So I have a mix template on there, 2 multi-track sessions that you can download, and then guitar presets. So Chernobyl Audio, the philosophy, English is hard language for me lately. The philosophy of of it is going to be similar to websites like Loopmasters. Loopmasters has all these presets and packs and songwriting materials, but it's all like hip hop and EDM and all this stuff. What if there was one for metal? So songwriters, people who just want to write music, not necessarily become a professional mix engineer like me, but they just want to come home and they want to have like, oh, I feel like writing some black metal today, and there's black metal presets ready for them to go so that they can write a song. I think that's very important, and someone needs to create good, high quality resources for them. So why not me, right? But there's a guy I'm working with. His name is Christian from tonepusher.com. He does Serum presets, amazing Serum preset, ridiculous, like genius sound designer. Also very good graphic design artist. And he's helping me with the website, doing the graphic design, helping manage the website back end. And we are going to try and create this, collection of great resources for songwriters, people who just want to write songs. So mix templates, mix sessions with free or stock plugins only, no third-party stuff needed. Guitar presets, multi-tracks for mixing practice. That's very hard to find. I think even you asked me a couple weeks ago, Alex. It's like, dude, you got any multi-tracks I could practice with? And the multi-tracks, you can put them on your portfolio, on your website, because there's a license included. So I'm really trying to think ahead of what producers and musicians need or would like, so they can just be creative and write music and not necessarily think of mixing it. As far as Hertz Studios is concerned, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as I will try to do as much as I can for them, and whatever that looks like is whatever it is. It could be it could be cleaning the toilets, no joke, or it could be, running cables for them, whatever they need. And however I can help grow my skills, obviously, here, because they have a nice Neve Genesis Black analog console board, that, I know how to use it, but I mean, I'm not expert at it, so I need to practice on it, but I could help them run a session in the future or something like this, or help them do marketing for her drums, for example, So I try not to insert myself anywhere yet, because we're still learning, we're still figuring out what we can do for each other, but it's definitely pretty exciting time.
Thank you so much, Scott, for such a wonderful conversation. I wish you huge success in your music career, because I've been taking all of your courses except Death Metal 1, and all of your courses helped me a lot to understand how to mix extreme metal music and how to create good, decent guitar tones. And I really love watching all of your knowledgeable videos on your YouTube channel, and I wish you all the success in the world about working at Hertz Studios and about working for Chernobyl Audio. And thank you so much for taking your time. It's always a huge pleasure talking to you.
Dude, no problem. Happy to be here. And might I say, everyone should know that Alex Day is a pretty hard worker. He always puts a lot of effort and a lot of time into what he's doing. And, he's a really good example of someone who, if he has a goal, he works on it, and he really is focused on getting the goal, because he has definitely improved since the first time I heard him. It probably was 2 years ago also that we started chatting. Yeah. So from where you were 2 years ago to where you are today, definitely a huge growth, a huge difference. So congratulations to you, actually, for just doing the work and taking yourself seriously. And because you do that, you actually get results. So good job to you first and foremost. So, of course, thank you for letting me come on your channel, but don't count yourself out. You're doing pretty good yourself.